Time is produced by John DeSando. See the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Mary Yerina.
And this is It's Movie Time. Well, Mary, let's get really happy in the summer. Oops. I think I made him.
You shouldn't have asked me to see Whitney then.
Oh, right. I think, as you appropriately said, when you sign up for this, you're signing up for a train wreck.
That I knew going in that it might be a little hard to see, but
now
I did want to see it.
Oh, good, and I did too. And you know, I saw Amy Winehouse, and Amy, and my gosh, it is so dispiriting. And so here we have another colossally famous singer, former model, Whitney Houston, dying so pitiably. So what's worth seeing in this movie, Mary?
Well, I will say I invited 3 friends to see this, women who also came of age during the 1980s in high school and college. And so Whitney Houston really provided a big part of the soundtrack to our coming of age during those formative years, and her voice is so worth hearing, especially on a big screen film, because it's probably the closest we'll ever get to seeing her in concert, if you will.
Sure.
And it really was so beautiful to hear her voice and remember how gifted she was as an artist through this documentary.
And I think that's one of the good things about the documentary. We get, not enough for me, but we do get a few clips from her performances. Because there's another documentary that came out about a year ago, I think, about her. But what is really important about this one is that you have so many family members involved. So you're likely to get closer to her. Well, at the same time, Kevin MacDonald, who did Marley, the director, so he knows what he's doing when he takes a famous person and does a documentary. So you have some things like, I mean, what's the big moment for her?
Oh, the big moment that was featured in full, thankfully, in the documentary is when she sang the Star-Spangled Banner at the Super Bowl.
My goodness.
And it was interesting to learn that she didn't rehearse that. That what we saw was her first and only time through the song, which had been rescored for her to be on a 4/4 beat instead of a 3/4 beat.
How about that?
I had no idea.
So she's able to take it more carefully,
hold notes longer, but she did not rehearse that. So it gave me chills to actually not only hear the performance again, but learn that, and also just tinged with sadness that someone who had such an immense talent, and I think it's one of the glimpses we see of her through this documentary, and I really wish it would have been more focused on her as an artist per se, than really showing threads from her life and how complex her life was and what made her life such the train wreck and sad, tragic ending that it ended up being. I really appreciated seeing that aspect of her, and there's even one small glimpse where she is conducting her backup singers and working with them before they have a concert.
Wouldn't you love to see more of that?
I really would have.
I agree with you. And you're reminding me that really what she is a genius, and that we're able to get to see some of those moments like the Star-Spangled Banner where of course, without rehearsal, she can do something that is memorable and powerful. But that's of course the kind of talent that she has. In addition to which, I don't know how many weeks or how many songs, 7 or more, that she had on Billboard.
Oh.
In a row.
In a row from her first album. And you forget, because we're now 40 years removed from that almost, and you forget how prolific she was and how she burst onto the scene and really changed music.
Well, Mary, over 200 million albums.
Oh.
My good Lord.
Her first, I think it was with Platinum 5 6, I lost count, 7 times. And it really was an amazing meteoric rise, but also somebody who was incredibly talented.
Yeah.
She had the voice to back it up.
And Mary, she was a model. I mean, come on, how many gifts do you get in this life?
Well, unfortunately, she had those gifts, but she also had, and this documentary reveals it, she had so many challenges in life. And I really thought about, and some of my friends and I discussed afterwards, you had this image of her, and in this day of fake news, it's easy to say the media portrayed her.
Right.
But you really see through this documentary and interviews with her brothers, her mother, her husband, ex-husband.
No help from Bobby Brown.
No help from Bobby Brown.
Who would not admit to her drug addiction.
Well, he quickly disappeared after he said, "I'm not going to talk about her death and her drug use." But what you saw, though, was the image that I grew up with of, a very solid foundation through the church, a very solid foundation through her parents.
Her mom was a famous gospel singer.
Her mom, but also yes, and but you got the sense in real time growing up with her, as I did, that she really had a strong foundation in her life. But you come to see through this documentary that the family and her managers really created that. Not necessarily the media, but the people surrounding her. And so for somebody who later developed addictions to handle whatever problems she may have been having, you learn more about her father's deceit of her and managing her career.
And she was putting most of her family on the payroll to do nothing.
To do nothing except hang out with her and live her lifestyle with her.
When she was younger, she was introduced to drugs by relatives, cousins, or whoever they were. There is a revelation in here. I'm wondering if we can reveal that. What do you think? Does that spoil it?
I don't know if it spoils it, because I think it's already out.
Yeah,
in the
I think
press.
so too. Yes.
If you would like to.
Yeah. Well, who's it? One of the Warwick girls, Dee.
Her cousin, Dee Warwick.
Yes, had abused her.
Yeah, and that's hearsay through others that Whitney supposedly confided in, but then her older brother John also claims, and directly so, that he was sexually abused by this same cousin.
Okay, right.
And so that, one of the frustrating things I think about the documentary is not only, one, how many more traumas was she subjected to in her young life that led to what happened to her in her death, but then also there are a lot of these threads that are very complex, that are thrown out about her life that aren't necessarily resolved. And in this case of Dee Warwick being accused of the abuse.
I've read it enough that I actually believe it. And I believe about Robin, her companion.
Her companion.
So she was
her best friend.
Probably bisexual then, Whitney. Which was a bit of news to me, not surprising, but just the kind of thing that a documentary can do that makes me feel satisfied, because the glitz and glamour of all that you can capture in any number of venues, but to get some of the insight, which I think is part of the virtue of this, is that you do get people who might not have been in other documentaries, or people who might have been hiding, who are drawn out because they are family, and it gives me a fuller experience. Though, the ending, Mary. What did you think of that? You know what I'm talking about? That long tracking shot through the hotel.
Oh,
that ends up at the bathtub, Mary.
That was very maudlin.
Oh, wasn't it?
To say the least.
I saw it in such bad taste.
And the same actually was done. That technique was used with regards to her house, where they filmed. Although they didn't really reference her reality TV show with Bobby Brown, but they did the slow fly through the house, which is now in pristine, beautiful, peaceful condition, and was certainly not so when she lived there. So some of that I agree,
Yeah,
especially at the end.
You're right.
Was
and
I mean, at one point I thought, are they going to superimpose
Oh,
like
I know.
her body
Right,
being there,
yes.
because it was done in such a way that you were like, what am I going to see when he gets to the
it's not
bathroom?
it's not difficult to see the Shining influence with that
Good
kind of a
point.
tracking
Yeah,
shot.
very
So
good
you're
point.
expecting something ghoulish
That's
to come about.
true.
And then, although they don't mention it, for people who know, her daughter was close to death when she was found on her face in a bathtub.
Yeah, similar, very similar
Very
circumstances,
similar.
but also very similar in the fact that Christina was basically raised on the road with her parents who were
Bobby
already
Brown?
under the
Lord.
influence of drugs, and so she was, like her mother, introduced to drugs at a very young age, and it just makes it all the more tragic, knowing a little bit more about how she was raised, and that the potential influence that Whitney didn't want to leave her at home, because when she and her brother were left at home, they were sexually abused by their cousin.
Oh, Mary.
So it just is a very heartbreaking story to see in greater detail.
But in Whitney Houston's younger days, this documentary does her well.
Yes.
And I think giving us snippets of her, I'll just use the word again, of her genius. And as you said, the transcendent voice.
Oh, completely.
And they're taking that gospel background and putting it into pop. And let us remember, I think I mentioned it, that no female artist has ever sold as many of a single as she did in I Will Always Love You.
Oh, and that actually, since I saw it a few days ago, I have had Whitney Houston songs just playing through my head. I Will Always Love You.
Which is really a Dolly Parton song.
It's a Dolly Parton written
But
song.
boy.
And just so many others that just have popped into my head.
Well,
and I think the amazing thing about her artistry that you clearly see in this film, in a day and age when she came to the fore, you had a lot of digital manipulation of people's voices, and you realize how pure and, as you said, transcendent and just lovely her voice truly was without any enhancement. And it makes it all the more tragic that the demons in her life were many.
Yes.
And she didn't have, and real, and she didn't have the true foundation to navigate those waters and come out on the other side.
Mary Yerina, the documentary is called Whitney. What grade would you award it?
Oh, this is a tough call.
This is always difficult for you.
This is. I loved the subject matter because of who she was as an artist, but as a documentary film, it left so many editorial threads. It introduced them and then didn't resolve them, and I felt it was very unfocused. So I have to say it was average. I'm going to give it a C.
All right, good. And I'm going to give it a B because I'm far more romantic about this business than you are.
I know, that's the second time.
I know it is. I know it is. But I'm with you on every comment that you made. But I just think about those moments when I see what a genius she was. Mm-hmm. And regardless of your C or my B, nobody will be unmoved who sees this documentary.
And if I can make one more comment,
even though
we've given our grades, one of the most human and revealing scenes I thought about Whitney Houston, outside of how she was packaged as a pop artist and how we viewed her in the media, was they showed a clip of when she met Nelson Mandela in South Africa. And it was one of the purest moments of joy and happiness that I saw in the entire film for her as a human being. And you just wish she would have had more moments like that in her life.
Well, now that our audience doesn't need to go to see it, since we've revealed all the major points.
You can edit that out.
All right.